Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance, and today we bring you something that surprised even us. Over the last few days, we tested. And then we tested again. Multiple accounts, multiple brackets, multiple situations, offense, defense, low investment, high investment. And after all that testing, one conclusion became impossible to ignore. Lumira is different. Not just strong. Not just new. But one of the most efficient titans we've ever seen in Hero Wars Alliance. A titan that, at certain levels, asks for almost nothing. And gives you almost everything in return. What we discovered is simple, but powerful. Lumira behaves like Verdoc in her prime. She has one, maybe two real counters on defense, and on offense, she is accurate around 95% of the time. That alone already puts her in elite territory. If you're playing Hero Wars Alliance on Android, the Winter Rewards Carnival on Huawei AppGallery is a great chance to save while you play. From December 1st, 2025 to January 11th, 2026, you can earn up to 30% rewards on your in-game purchases. The system is simple. For every €1 you spend, you get 1 gem. Collect gems and redeem them for coupons, like a €3 coupon for 10 gems, or a €30 coupon for 100 gems. The more you play and spend, the more value you get back. To activate the offer, just download the game through Huawei AppGallery. Your Hero Wars progress is completely safe. Sign in with your Google or AppGallery account and continue playing instantly. Remember to check that your device region is supported. Eligible countries include Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Poland, Portugal, Switzerland, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and many others across Europe. This is a limited time event, so don't miss it. Join through AppGallery, start earning gems. But what truly sets her apart is this: Lumira can function at an absurdly high level with zero investment. And yes, Guardians, you heard that correctly. Zero artifacts, zero skins. Just level 120 and basic evolution. At that point, everything else depends on how you develop your light team. If you already have Rigel, Iari, Solaris, and Amon at a playable PvP level, you don't need anything more. Even a 3-star Lumira performs magic on offense. It's not theory. It's not speculation. We tested it repeatedly. The results were consistent, and honestly, overpowered. That's why we want to be very clear before we go any deeper. This guide is not about forcing you to invest into Lumira. Quite the opposite. This is about showing you why you don't need to, and then, only if you choose to give her some love, how to do it correctly without wasting resources. Because Lumira is already amazing. Let's talk about why. At the core of Lumira's design is Child of Light. Everything she does revolves around empowering the light team through physical attack scaling, tempo, and pressure. And here's the key point many players miss: the strength of Child of Light does not depend on flashy upgrades. It depends on very specific stats, and those stats are already strong by default. That's why a low investment Lumira works. But if you do want to enhance her slightly, the first place to look is her weapon artifact. The physical attack seal directly increases the power of Child of Light. There's no debate here. This is the one artifact that truly connects with her kit. Taking it to around level 115 gives you full activation reliability and ensures your light team consistently receives the physical attack bonus. At that point, your light team starts to snowball. Her crown artifact is more of a luxury. We maxed it during testing, not because it was required, but because it adds extra defense and damage against elemental titans. If you have the resources and want maximum stability, maxing it is fine. But again, this is not mandatory for her to perform. The seal is where things get interesting. Normally, we advise caution with seals, because excessive health can delay ultimate timing. But Lumira is different. Health and physical attack both directly increase the power of Child of Light. That changes the equation. Keeping her seal around level 100 to 110 gives you a strong balance, more power, more stability, without disrupting her tempo. And then there's her skin. Physical attack. No questions asked. If you are investing, you max it. It directly feeds her core mechanic. There's no trick here, no alternative priority. Physical attack is the stat that matters. Now, let's come back to the most important part of this guide, the zero cost value. Because here's the real question you need to ask yourself, Guardians. Do you really want to spend precious gold, dust, and resources on a Titan that doesn't need it? We performed thousands of tests. And across all those tests, only 2 defensive setups consistently stopped light teams on offense. The first is the fire team. And even then, it's unpredictable. Sometimes it holds. Sometimes it collapses. Fire has always been volatile, and against light, that volatility becomes even more pronounced. Our advice is simple: avoid it. It's not a reliable answer. The second, and this one is consistent, is 5 Earth. Yes. King Verdoc still stands. 5 Earth Titans can stop light teams. They can turn a win into a loss. And this remains true even if you fully invest into Lumira. And this leads to an important realization. You might think, alright, then I'll just max everything. Artifacts, skin, seal, surely that will flip the matchup. It won't. Even a fully maxed light team still struggles against 5 Earth. The counter remains. And that's actually a good thing, because it teaches us something valuable. Every Titan has a counter. Lumira is no exception. But what makes her special is how narrow that counter window is. 5 Earth stops light. Fire is inconsistent. Everything else, light demolishes. And here's the most impressive part. A 3-star Lumira with 0 artifacts and 0 skin produces the same offensive result as a 6-star Lumira, with full investment in the vast majority of matchups. The difference is not in winning or losing, it's in margin. And when the result is already a win, margin doesn't matter. That's why Lumira becomes your new engine of offense. She doesn't ask you to rebuild your Titan roster. She doesn't demand months of farming. She doesn't drain your resources. She simply works. You avoid 5 Earth in defense. You play smart. And you watch light teams erase almost everything else on the battlefield. So here is our verdict, Guardians. Lumira is impressive. She has her counters, just like any Titan. But her zero-cost efficiency is what makes her exceptional. She gives players something incredibly rare in Hero Wars, Alliance, power without pressure. Whether you're early, mid, or end game, Lumira offers you immediate offensive dominance with minimal commitment. And if you decide to invest later, you already know exactly where to do it, and just as importantly, where not to. This is what smart progression looks like. Test her. Learn her matchups. Respect her counters. And use her for what she truly is, a low-investment powerhouse that redefines how offense works in Titan battles. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and as always, salute and friendship.